I gotta do is hit this 3 times. Y'all see what I gotta deal with, right? Hit the gas for him a couple times. What's up, everybody? All right, so what I'm doing in the Mustang right now is I'm installing a converter box because I am putting a factory T56 in my car. The T56 Magnums, if you buy a T56 Magnum today, it'll come where it'll operate your gauges analog. And it's also digital, electronic. So that one you can just hook straight up and everything should work as long as you got the right speedo gear and everything. But I got my T56 that was designed for the 03 Cobra. So I have a T56. It is a 6-speed. It's just not a Magnum. And the Magnum is built for a little more power, and it has both electronic and analog hookups. So mine is a 10 spline. The Magnum is a 26 spline, and mine is rated at about 500 horses or somewhere in that range. And the Magnums are rated up to about 700 horses. So my car is only pushing about 420 at the crank. So I'm good where I'm at. I don't have to upgrade or do anything. I don't plan on boosting it or nothing. But here's the box. It's from Abbott, and it turns that digital signal into an analog signal. And it's called the Cable X. So hopefully you can see that good. But this is the Cable X box. And there's a bunch of switches in here. There's a bunch of switches down in there. These 12 switches here. And this is what operates. You can see the speedo cable is hooked up. And this is what's going to operate my speedometer. So I just finished running the wires for the ground, the signal wire from the transmission, and the 12-volt power supply. So when I turn the key, the box will come on and be ready to go. So I gotta do this. I'm finna do this for the first time. So if I think I did everything right, and if I did, I'm about to run through a self-test on this box. And it says turn all the switches to the off position, which I did that already. All the little tiny switches are in the off position. And then it says when I apply power, the LED will blink only once. And then it says it'll go into a self-test mode. And then from there, I have to turn on one switch at a time, switches 1 through 11. And when I get to the 11th switch, the motor will start spinning, and it should turn my the speedo. It should run at about 18 miles an hour or so in there, 16, 18 miles an hour, and it'll run like that for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then it'll drop back down to 0. And then so that'll let me know that everything is hooked up correctly. And then from there are codes that you gotta, I did all that already. And then there's certain switches that I have to leave on and some that I have to leave off, and that'll calibrate it to my car. So I already have that information already, but let's do this the self test to see if I even hooked everything up correctly. So you guys are gonna go through this with me. All right. So check this out. Okay. So it says when I apply power, I should get one blink. So let's apply power. Okay, got the one blink. Now it says every time I flip a switch, it'll blink once every time I flip switches 1 through 11. So let's check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And when I hit the 11th one, the speedometer should start running. Uh-oh. What y'all know about that right there? So it'll do that. Then when it's done, it'll drop down to 0. Oh yeah. So y'all are with me. The system is now complete. It's blinking because it's letting me know that the self-test was great and everything is good. So now I'll cut the power. And then I'll switch all the switches back off again. Okay, now I gotta switch only the switches that my settings are saying to switch on. So I gotta switch on 2, 5, 7, 8, and 9. Switch 2, switch 5, 7, 8, and 9. And then it'll be ready for my setup. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, so now I am ready to go. I can put the lid back on. Because now that this is set, the only reason I would have to change these settings now is if I change my rear end or, you know, put different size tires on here and all that. So what it does is this box will make it to where I don't need a speedo gear. I don't have to get another speedo gear if I decide to change the rear end ratio. Right now I got 331s on here, and I originally bought those 331s to go with a 5-speed. So I don't want to change them until I at least have a chance to drive the car to see where the RPMs are, because the car has plenty of power for what I'm going to use it for street use. And I like to be on my phone a lot, so I don't like my car wound all up, you know, all up in the RPMs all the time. But 331s may be a little low for a 6-speed. I'll see. But I don't want to go changing them to 373s or something like that when I don't even know how the car is going to act right now. So the way that you set these switches, you have to measure the height of your tires, and you got to know how many revolutions per mile your tire has to turn, how many pulses that my T56 has to put out, and you got to multiply that by how many inches in a mile and all that. And then once you come up with all of that, then it gives you a code. So my code was in the 43,000 range, and as you can see, there are so many codes. So this box works with any car that has to put out that has an electronic transmission but needs to activate analog gauges. So this is the Abbott Cable X 3012. So they have different Cable X models, but this one is for my car. But it'll work whether I change tires, change rear ends, change this, change that. All I got to do is go back in, measure, you know, make sure I come up with the same formula, and then it'll give me a different figure. I flip the switches and it'll start working to that. So Thanks for watching. Just a little tidbit, just in case there are guys out there trying to figure this out. This is what it is. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, share, like, comment. Let me know. Hey, if the video helped you out or if it was interesting, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell, all right? Tell your friends about me, the society, in the game.